Hey, my Married at First Sight Australia fans. Yes, we are coming into our final week, but we got to talk about this episode. We had one couple where the homestays made it worse. Alyssa and Duncan's final date is derailed, and Evelyn and Rupert hit a milestone during this homestay week. Welcome back to Romance Review TV. It's Lady T, and I got another recap for you guys. Married at First Sight Australia, Season 10, Episode number 30. And without any further ado, let's talk about this episode. So, while most of the couples are busy packing for homestay week and excited, Alyssa and Duncan are still trying to hash things out over yet another tense commitment ceremony. Alyssa is still really hurt that Duncan didn't tell her how upset he was feeling, but Duncan just feel like Alyssa is prioritizing her feelings over his. And he even pointed out, look what happened when I do share my emotions. Now, when he said that, Alyssa don't appreciate the dig and tells him, you better get packing. But Duncan's headspace just isn't in the best place. And he even tell the cameras, you start to think if you're grasping reality the right way, or is this person trying to find things to not like about him, which is self-sabotaging the relationship, in my opinion. And nothing will be better for Duncan's confused mindset than a week spent at each other's houses. And on that note, let's go ahead and jump in and talk about the couples that we have in this episode and just see just how their partners live. So first off, we're going to start with Lindell and Cameron. And Cameron has been itching to get back to Darwin pretty much since he stepped foot into the experiment. Now, Lindell, however, got big hopes for Homestay Week. Her latest theory is that Cam being his best and happiest self at home is going to fix all their relationship problems. However, when we get to see Cam's flatmate, Kyle, who has his own theory about the relationship, he said if this is going to work, she needs to come to the party with some territory traits, and she needs to learn how to fish and hunt. So, with the idea in mind, Lindell does her best to go into full country girl mode and gets down and dirty, even feeding the fish with her mouth. Now, it's pretty ironic considering that she's gotten more of a kiss from a fish than her own husband on this trip. And while Cam's friend are out cooking a barbecue, the mood between the two of them take a sudden turn, with a confrontation breaking out over Cam's resistance to show affection. So I guess it's a pretty good guess, and it's safe to say that the homestay visit has only magnified Lindell and Cam's problems. I mean, she even admitted to the camera that she feel like Cam doesn't want to fight to make this work. And it doesn't actually matter what I do while I'm here. I just feel like I'm hanging out with a friend. And it's hard to see her actually being really happy in this relationship. So next up is Evelyn and Rupert. And I gotta say, I am so proud of Rupert. I mean, he has made strides since the wedding day. And even in this episode, in an effort to step up his whole romance game, Rupert sets up a little paint and sip in Evelyn's apartment. Yes, the heat between the two of them turn up a notch as Evelyn leans in for a whole little kiss. And Rupert was like, look, if I knew painting my face half green and half purple was all it took to get a kiss, he would have done that a hell of a lot sooner. And Rupert must have never washed off his Braveheart face paint because overnight adult cuddles happened. And according to Rupert, he is officially out of the friend zone. So last but not least is Alyssa and Duncan. Now, despite the two of them having their fair share of ups and downs, there's one problem that they don't face, and that's distance. The two only live 20 minutes apart from each other. I mean, out of all of the couples, that's a bonus. Stop one on their joint tour of the northern beaches is lunch with Alyssa's mother's group, Natalie and Nadia. Now, as fellow moms, they quick to quiz Duncan over how he feels about potentially being a stepfather and being second priority. Duncan says, look, he's okay with that and has always been. He thinks that he said that sentence probably 20 times in this experiment. And Duncan's patience starts to kind of wear thin in this. first. Now, Alyssa starts talking about her busy schedule and reveals that she only will be available to see Duncan every Wednesday and every other weekend due to commitments with her child. Now, it's the first time Duncan is ever hearing anything about these specifics of when he can see Alyssa, a matter that has been an issue for the couple for a while now. And Duncan reveals what he really thinks of Alyssa's revelation to the camera when he says, look, they'll call me a bad person if in front of 3 people I said, yeah, I think that could work, but I have to sit and think about that. Now, Duncan is pretty peeved that he got the information he's been asking for weeks in a public forum and not personally. Now, he's hoping to get his sister Renee's opinion on the matter as she joined the couple for coffee at his apartment. And Renee rocks up with her. And also, can we say them two look exactly alike? However, the matter of quality time comes up and Renee throws in her 2 cents and says, I would hope that down the track that you are living together and you are a family unit in time. Now, Alyssa and Renee both notice that Duncan is being unusually quiet. But as Alyssa dunks off early to pick up her son from school, Duncan finally opens up to his sister. Alyssa gets to decide when we see each other. That's based on her schedule, and I don't get to decide. And of course, he's venting. Duncan expressed his concern that the first time he found out the specifics of when he could actually see Alyssa outside of the experiment was only yesterday in front of her friends. And when Renee asked why Duncan hasn't had these tough conversations with Alyssa yet, Duncan explains that Alyssa is always breaking down. And Renee is like, yeah, that's a big problem. Now, with some pretty big question marks around their relationship, Duncan decides and wants to clear the air before the final vows, so he organizes a special boat date for Alyssa. So they finally meet up as he planned this whole date, and he asked, and take a deep breath, revisits the whole idea of the schedule. He said, why tell your partner at the end of the experiment that you can see them 3 to 4 times a week? A lot of people say that's a part-time relationship. He asked, why didn't you bring this up earlier? She turns around and gets defensive and said, why didn't you? Now, the conversation then takes a turn as Duncan brings up his idea of a healthy relationship. Now, he hopes the past few weeks were only rough patches because, quote unquote, with him, if that's Alyssa's idea of a healthy relationship, then that scares him. Now, that is a shock to Alyssa, who didn't think that there was much wrong with their relationship. And she tells the cameras, yeah, we haven't been perfect. We've had some really tough times over the past couple weeks, but that doesn't mean I haven't enjoyed them. This is probably the healthiest relationship she's ever been in. Really, Alyssa? Now, Duncan's romantic ocean date is effectively ruined when Alyssa cries on one side of the boat and him drinking a glass of wine alone on the other side. And he's telling the cameras, you know what? I am more confused than I was at the start of this whole day. Alyssa, obviously, you're not ready for this. If you want a part-time relationship, just go and date. Maybe have a situationship. But a marriage, you are interdependent. There's 2 of you becoming one. You guys got to make this work. He's willing to meet you halfway, but you only want to take a couple of steps forward. You got to get it together, Alyssa. Okay, so let's get the conversation started down in the comment section. What do you think about our first set of homestays? This whole thing with Lindell and Cameron is a crash ready to burn. In regards to Alyssa and Duncan, Alyssa, obviously, I don't know what your situation is personally, but I personally don't think that she's ready for this or even a marriage at this point. And hey, I might be missing a lot. Remember, we don't get to see everything. And as for Rupert and Evelyn, Rupert is putting in 110%. It seems that Evelyn is enjoying everything. I just hope that she's also 110% with him. That's just my thoughts. So I hope you enjoyed this recap. Stay tuned for other recaps and updates on this channel. And until the next video, like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you next time. Bye.